Welcome back, everybody, to Tactics Ogre. We're going to continue on to Corinthian Keep. This is the level where we would fight the ugly guy, Zenober, whatever his name is.
The Duke outpaces haste itself. Sir Hector and his men are not returned, eh? Send word to the Lord Commander. Tell him to rally what troops he can. I will avenge my lord for Balbatos.
For Balbatos. So this is playing out much like the neutral playthrough. This seems too similar to the neutral playthrough. I'm wondering if the chaos and neutral playthrough are supposed to be the same playthrough with slightly different angles on the way things occurred in that playthrough. Like, for instance, in the one case we refused the Duke, so we are not, we're on sort of our own orders. But when you're on the Duke's orders, you're attempting to accomplish some sort of stratagem. Where I think we're going to try to catch the Dark Knights off. What do you call that? Not off base, but like off kilter, But in this case, we're not trying to sneak in from behind through a mountain pass, a dangerous mountain pass where the volcano's going off. Instead, we're, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But right now, this particular battle's playing out just like the neutral one is. I brought Pumpkin Kinzor along with me because despite the fact that my characters say level 19, most of them are at or around 45 in reality. So Pumpkin isn't at 45 yet. I'm using this battle to give him all of the stored experience I have. And then that'll hopefully level him up closer to 40.
Hear me. We are not of the Wallister resistance.
What of it? You harbor no more love for us than me. We defend Galgastani honor to the last.
If you'll not listen to reason, perhaps your men will. You are defeated, routed by the Duke's armies, and yet you persist. Do you not see that this struggle leads nowhere? Or would you carry on the good Hierophant's work and rid the Isles of the Wallister?
You have us exact. We will fight until the seas run red with Wallister blood.
Do you all share her bloodlust? If we cross swords this day, the conflict will not end here. Those same swords will be taken up by your children and ours. Is that what you want? To me, it sounds a grievous error.
Cycle of revenge, basically, is what he's saying. I take the lives of you, and then, your children, or at least your countrymen, take that as an excuse to raise swords against Wallisters, and the conflict that you're trying to resolve now just renews itself. More hatred. I don't know. It's complicated because we jumped into this excuse me. We jumped into this war at the beginning with our protagonists, Denim and his sister and Vice, and we've been given their perspective on this war. There's a possibility So it's up to interpretation, I guess, or perhaps some sort of other secondary documentation that I'm not aware of. That, you know, perhaps the war was going well for the Gagastani, and your entry into the war is what threw, you know, their victory, their, you know, their gains back into question. I don't know that, you know, because, but you get what I'm saying is you have, you get convinced to help release the Duke from captivity, which allows him to rally his forces, at least in the chaos side of this, to begin to win and then ultimately overtake the Gagastani and overthrow their leader. I would say it'd be interesting to know a little bit more of the story, but that's not the point of what we're taught. Well, I'm making a point that there's probably more to this story than we're let on to. You know, why did you choose to take up the Wallisters' cause? At this point, you think you're Wallister. Turns out you're actually Bakram, which of course makes it interesting. You know, that's where you're supposed to really think about the three factions that reside on this island. Because you think you're Wallister, you fight for the Wallister cause. You know, then you see that the Gagastani won't give up, and then as you get to the point where you've eliminated the Gagastani, you find out you're actually Bakram. So you question, in a way, you can question, well, how is it that you know, how is the name? I mean, my allegiance changes according to the way the game lays it out, but I've been fighting for this cause that wasn't mine to begin with, and now that I am discovered to be a Bakram, you know, of Bakram descent, how does that change, you know, the fact that I am attempting to remove the Hierophant from leadership, you know? So, stuff to think about. I think it's kind of nifty. I do like, the game changes based on, you know, your decisions. So not only does your decision to go one direction or another change the way that, say, Vice acts, but it also changes the fate of other characters as well. You know, like, obviously, in the neutral playthrough, Vice leaves the Resistance and sort of just ventures out on his own as sort of a, I don't know if you want to call him a one-hit hitman or what the story was. You know, he ends up being hunted to the point that he can't really, like, the last thing he ends up doing in that playthrough is killing the Duke Ronway. And, you know, what does that help him other than he gets some short-term revenge before ultimately he's murdered, you know? I mean, it does change the ultimate outcome of the war, the outcome of the way things end up going with Venom. But I don't know. It's curious. And then, you know, obviously, now that we've chosen the chaotic path, he stays with the Duke, but in doing so, he's hatching some sort of plot, and I don't know if it's on behalf of the Duke, if it's in spite of the Duke, or what, because all the storyline splits 2 to 3 times, but it all comes back together in chapter 4. So anything that's done in prior chapters ultimately, I want to say ultimately doesn't matter for storyline purposes. I know it kind of does because you have certain characters unlocked, which makes certain battles easier or harder, and etc. I don't know. We'll see. Again, we're sort of just kind of blown through this area because, you know, I'm operating with better weapons than I would normally at this point in the game. Sort of a quick catch-me-up reminder is, at this point in the game, I did not yet have access to the two-handed claymore that basically you run on a Terra Knight denim almost exclusively, because it is at its +1 version. It allows you to get what is that called? It basically, in addition to inflicting terror, which lowers attack, you inflict breach, which also lowers defense. So the fact that when you use that one move, it guarantees both afflictions onto the enemy makes it very advantageous for taking down bosses, particularly knights that have high HP and high defense. On the other end of things, there are other weapons that come after the claymore that are stronger, like statistically speaking stronger. Now, you know, obviously the fact that you've got you know, the special skill on there that helps to cut defense, I mean, that's like really, really good, like to the point that you practically, you know, it's not technically an endgame weapon, like it's not the strongest weapon in the game, but when you get, you know, that sort of thing going, and it's effective on enemies, then it's like, you know, it's stronger than the strongest blade that I've run across so far. What I'm getting at. Now, if characters begin to, you know, enemies start becoming immune to impair, or other, you know, debuffs like that, then there's no point in running the Claymore +1 anymore. If they don't, if the main purpose for it being that special ability, if they're unaffected by that ability, what's the point of running it, you know? Like, you know, you might have like a sword that's not super strong, but it has a chance of causing death, like an instant death blow. And that's worth keeping around, but if, as you get closer to the end of the game, all of the enemies become immune to death, then, you know, because they're immune to death, you don't get that perk. It's better to ditch that weapon and switch to a weapon that's dealing higher damage than relying on the, you know, the instant death thing that can proc. So, particularly when you start talking about, if we're talking Final Fantasy and we're talking about bosses, you can guarantee, you know, you gain the access to an ability or a skill that allows you to cast instant death, and you can be pretty sure that unless it's sort of like a gimmicky boss somewhere, they're not going to give you the ability to instantly.
Mind, but it is our hearts that move us. Wallister are less than filth.
Yeah.
Night soil
to be cast into the gutter.
Cast in the gutter. We must rid the Isles of your kind if there is ever to be peace.
Once you've killed the last of
Who's
us,
next? Bakram?
Bakram? Who will follow
Yes.
them? When the last of your enemies has fallen, what will stop you turning against each other? Your disparate religions, customs, beliefs, fertile soil for dissent. You are the problem here.
I will not be lectured by this lowly creature.
The Golgastani are not my enemy, nor is any clan. It is people like you. With clever tales, you pit neighbor against neighbor. And for what? Power? You poison Valeria and all within her.
So that is one of humanity's, I'd say, biggest problems, regrets, sins, what have you, is are you part of the in-group? Are you part of the out-group? So, and we will constantly subdivide ourselves down to create a new out-group, a new enemy, a new minority.